Hello. Today we're learning about the area of trapezoids, and the first thing we're going to do is identify what trapezoids are. These are all pictures of some trapezoids. There are 5 different types. What makes them a trapezoid is that each of them has one pair of parallel sides, meaning that these two sides are never going to touch, they're never going to overlap. The sides are parallel to each other. That's the definition of a trapezoid. It needs to be 4 sides and one pair of parallel sides. That's how we identify a trapezoid. Now, first thing I'd like for you to do is get your notes page. So you'll see on here, we have a formula at the top. The formula was taken from our star chart. Right here, the trapezoid formula. It says that the area is 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times the height. So we'll see it written different ways. Whichever way makes more sense to you is the way that you're going to write it, but this is the way that the star chart is, and that's the way you'll be able to find it and gather it. So on your area of trapezoids notes, we're going to look right here. We have a trapezoid, and on it we have 2 bases. So notice in the formula we have 1/2 h b1 plus b2. So let's identify each of these. So h is your height, B1 is base 1, and B2 is base 2. So now you'll notice that on trapezoids there are 2 bases, and it's labeled here as B1 and B2, and then your height. So in order to solve these, there's 3 steps to solve these. The first step is to add your bases. You want to add the bases. And we know that that's first because that's what's in parentheses. That's how we know that that's first, because of order of operations, GEMDAS, PEMDAS. Second step is to multiply those bases by the height. And then the third step, we have to do the 1/2. That means to divide by 2. And then you'll have your answer. So those are the 3 steps you're going to do with every problem. Remember, your bases are parallel to each other. And then your height is the distance in between the 2 bases. So it has to be at the 90-degree angle, the right angle. So let's do this first example together. As with every problem, so this should be written on your paper. All of that should be written. Pause if you need to. First step on every problem is area equals 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. So then we write our formula. Now we need to identify each of these on our shape. So our parallel sides are base 1 and base 2. Really, it doesn't matter what you label as your first base and your second base, but then the one in between, the distance between the two at the 90-degree angle, that'll be your height. So base 1, base 2, and height. Those are the 3 things that you need for every trapezoid area problem. Base 1 is 3, base 2 is 6, and the height is 4. So now we put those into our formula. Area equals 1/2 of the height times base, So area equals 1/2 of the height, which is 4, we're substituting, and then we're adding our bases, 3 plus 6. So like the directions say at the top, add the bases. So the first thing we'll do is add the bases. So area equals 1/2 times 4 times 9. Remember, when you have a number next to a parenthesis, that means to multiply. That means multiply. A number next to a parenthesis means to multiply. So now it says add the bases. That was our first step. Second step is multiply by the height. So we're going to multiply the 4 times the 9, which gives you 36. And then the last step is to divide by 2. And 36 divided by 2 is 18. That is our answer. 18 centimeters squared. Area is always squared units. Let's do a few more examples. So I'll let you finish copying, pause it. Okay, let's do number 1. First thing, area equals half of the height times base 1 plus base 2. So then we identify what each are. Base 1, base 2. I label everything. So now we know what each piece is. We can label it here. We have base 1, base 2, and the height. Base 1 is 14, base 2 is 7, and the height is 5. So area equals 1/2 times the height. Height is 5, plus the base 1, which is 14, plus base 2, which is 7. Now, according to our list up here, add the bases, multiply by the height, divide by 2. So add the bases. And notice that each time I'm rewriting everything else. And 14 plus 7 is 21. Second step is multiply by the height. And 21 times 5 is 105. And then now the third step is divide by 2. So I have to do 105 divided by 2, which will give you 51. 51, 2 goes into 5. Sorry, 52, 4, 1, 0, 0. My bad. 5. 52.5. So the area is 52.5 inches squared. Now the next shape is still, these are all trapezoids, it's just rotated. So now base 1 and base 2. I know that those are the bases because they are parallel to each other. And I know that the height is the distance between the two bases, so 12 is my height. So B1, B2, and height. B1 is 7, B2 is 26, and height is 12. So if we put that into our formula, area equals half times the height times B1 plus B2. And on your star chart, notice how height is at the end. It doesn't matter if it's in the beginning or the end. You're still multiplying by your height. So order of operations says to add the bases first because they're in parentheses. Okay, so now when I add those, we have area is half times 12 times 33, and I have to do some math on the side. 12 times 33. When I add those, I get 396. So half of 396. So I had to do some more side math. So 396 divided by 2, because that's our third step. So our area is 198 inches squared. Okay, we have 2 more we're going to work on. I'll show you. Okay, identify what is what. This is my base 1. This is my base 2. I know that those are the 2 bases because they're parallel to each other. My 10 is my height. If there were a measurement here, I wouldn't use it. Why? Because we don't ever use the slanted side. Just like when we were working with triangles, we don't use the slanted side when it comes to area. So area is 1/2 of the height times B1 plus B2. So I have, I'll put it down here, B1, B2, and height. Identify what each of those are, 12, 9, and 10. And now substitute those into your formula. Okay, so first step, First step is to add the bases. Add the bases. So area is 1/2 times 10, and then 9 plus 12 is 21. So add the bases. Step 2 is to multiply by the height. 10 times 21 is 210. That's one of those tricks. If it's multiplied by 10, you just add a 0 to it. So 1/2 times 210. Now we have to do some side math because the last step is to find half, which means to divide by 2. So 2 goes into 2 once. 2 does not go into 1, but 2 goes into 10 5 times. So the area is 105 centimeters squared. Okay, one more problem to work on. So identify your two bases. Identify your height. So B1, B2, height, 1.5, 3, and 2. Area is half of the height times the base 1 plus base 2. So area equals 1/2 times 2 times 3 plus 1 5/10. So when we add 3 and 1 5/10, be sure that you're lining up your decimals because I find that is a common mistake. So it's 4 5/10. So area equals 1/2 times 2 times 4 5/10. If you double 4.5, so 4.5 times 2 is 9. So area equals 1/2 of 9. Well, we just did it. 1/2 of 9 would be 4.5. And that's feet squared. So those are your notes for the area of trapezoids. Be sure to pause as you need. So what you'll do next is remember, fold this so that your title is out. We'll fold it in half. We glue the back side. I should see everybody gluing this into their notebooks. Everyone should be gluing. So it goes right after the triangle notes. Triangle notes were the last ones we took. If you don't have those, ask and you can get a copy of those. So triangle notes and then trapezoid notes go in next. And then in our table of contents, we put area of trapezoids. Area of trapezoids, that's what goes in there. Be sure that you have the other two notes labeled there. So following that, once you have it in your journal, you're going to use your journal to do your classwork. So keep it accessible, keep it out. Your classwork today are the 5 problems on this sheet. At the top, I want you to write your formula. Area is 1/2 times the height times adding the two bases. Remember, on every problem, please label everything. I need the formula written for every problem. The reason being is that you need to keep everything organized and correct because these formulas get complicated. So if you write that and then you substitute in, it'll make it much simpler. I've been teaching a while and I still write my formula every time. So you'll be working on these 5 problems. These are due at the end of the period. If you have questions, you need to ask. Also, please don't forget your name.